simulator. Let me cut the static off before we start. Welcome back to the channel, guys. So this is video 9 of the 10-part series that we're doing, and we're going to talk about amp simulators. But before we go ahead, I got a major disclaimer coming up on this video. Anything that I say in this video is just my opinion, and this channel is neither monetized nor sponsored. So I'm free to say what I want, and I may even trash talk about some of the amp simulators. So if you like the honest opinion, do hang around and hit that subscribe button so that you can catch our future videos. Now, okay, I know there are quite a few viewers who are of my age. I could see that in my, in our, YouTube statistics. So I come from a generation where I've seen the migration from tube amps being played by the pros and the solid states being played by the noobs, to rack FX, to the first processor, decent processor which came out in the market, and then the whole wave turning back into tube amps and multiple things. So we are one of those lucky generations. So we've seen quite a few things, and the newest in the series, since I re-picked the guitar, I gave up guitaring for over a decade. So the new thing obviously is amp simulators and impulse responses and amp modelers, profilers, etc. So what are amp simulators? So before we get into what are amp simulators, the way I started looking at amp simulators is very different. When I restarted playing, I was like, how can I play through my Mac and make it sound? But then when I thought about it, when you're buying a processor, you're buying the hardware and the software together. So what an amp simulator basically is doing is it's using the power of your laptop or Mac or whatever that you're using, and the simulator is the software, which is basically their emulation of a particular tube amp or a pedal. And I made some notes here because we have a lot to cover in this video. So obviously, when it comes to amp simulators, there are some good ones in my opinion, and again, it's very subjective. So there are some good ones, there are some bad ones, and there are some really, really crappy ones. And looks like the amp simulator industry is also doing what the pedal industry and the processor industry did in the guitar player magazines and multiple things. So the amp simulator guys are taking the social media as their weapon, and you see these ads popping up everywhere. Now, are the amp simulators ever going to be as good as a tube amp? Again, the answer is very subjective, but for me, a Les Paul going into a cranked up tube amp, no pedals, nothing, only these 4 knobs, does the magic. So, no, and that sound is what rings in my ear when I'm thinking about anything that I'm playing. Do the amp simulators come close? They come close, but are they the real thing? I doubt. So, but are they good standalone? Are they a good tool? Obviously, yes. They're a beautiful tool to work with. Now, we covered the hardware and the software. Okay, now the interesting part. Should you be paying a fortune for it? Honest answer, no. Because you'll see when we get into the playing part, the free ones do a spectacular job. And to be very honest, for me, again, for me alone, some of the paid ones are crappy. I don't want to really take names and trash a few brands or anything of that sort. That's not the idea of this video. But some of the paid ones are very, very, really, really bad. They don't sound anything like a real amp. Whereas some of the free ones actually sound like an amp. So we're going to get into each of those when we hit the playing section. So let's keep the best for the last. So hearing is believing. Now, what are the advantages of using an amp simulator? So, the first and the foremost advantage that I can think of is your ability to reamp. Now, what is reamp or reamping? It's basically you're playing something and then you're changing your sound in your post production, or maybe running it through another tube amp or a modeler or whatever it may be. So, it gives you a whole bunch of flexibility to when you're working with. Second, it's extremely economical. If you are a bedroom player or a home guitar player, or you're tracking, or you're actually recording a scratch, you don't need to go through the pain of actually miking up a tube amp or even buying some of the most expensive profilers and all those things. So you can basically plug in your guitar into your audio interface, go straight into your DAW, and most of the DAWs today are actually providing free amp simulators. So it's as simple as recording the DI signal from your guitar, finishing off the take, and maybe reamp it later or tweak around with that sound and come out with a good recorded sample. So the cost is something which is spectacular, and there's not even a cost if if you hang around till the end of the video, because most of the things that I'm gonna be showcasing are actually free, barring one or two. Now, some of the little tricks that you need to know when you're using an amp simulator: impulse responses. Some of the amp simulators come with their own cabinet simulation, which sometimes is not the greatest. And to specifically talk about a cabinet simulation, if I look at a cabinet simulation, one of the paid amp simulator, Amplitude, it sounds flat. It sounds lifeless to me. Whereas if I use something like, we're going to cover impulse responses in detail in the next video, so stay tuned. So I don't want to go really into a depth of impulse responses. So, but use impulse responses wherever possible with your amp simulator. It definitely adds a layer of reality and a real amp like feel, in my opinion. Second trick, you basically record your guitar once. You can double track, nothing stops you from double tracking, but you can record your guitar once, and everything that you're gonna hear when we go into the playing section, I played it once. I just used the same sample and I reamped it. So you can actually use two amps, in the same recording, blending the two to achieve the tone you want. So dual amp is the one of the second trick that no one should consider. And one of my favorite things about an amp simulator is basically using the dual amps whenever I'm using it for tracking purposes. The Jimmy Page technique. So it gives you the flexibility of actually using two of the same recordings or the takes that you're taken, processing one side very differently and adding maybe a mic simulation which is more like a room simulation, or adding effects to one side of the take or something of that sort. So yeah, I mean, multiple processing or layered processing, for lack of a better word, is something, one of the tricks that you can play with. Now, getting to the simulators and then the software that we're going to talk about in this video. The first time when I'm gonna play it, I'm actually using the Helix Native. So, which is basically a paid software which is supposed to give you the same processing, same sound simulations as a Helix. The reason I have it is I got it very discounted, because I also have the HX Stomp with me. So I'm gonna play it first because I wanted to do that to show you the most expensive simulator out there in the start, and then comparing that with Rockrack, which is actually free. Though I'm using the paid version of it because I got the full version again as a bundle with some of the hardware that I got. I didn't go specifically and pick up, bought these softwares. I got it as a bundle. So Rockrack is actually my favorite amp simulator. If you use Rockrack rightly, trust me, it's very hard to notice the difference between a stomp and a Rockrack. So That's the second software we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about two pedal simulators. Again, free. They're not paid. With the Rockrack, I'm actually using the TSC rack. And if you've been following the channel, Rat is one of my favorite pedals. And this simulation, there are multiple Rat simulations available in. I think every simulator has a Rat and the muff for some weird reason. So I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who's a fan of the Rat. So there are quite a few people. So even GarageBand comes with a RAT simulation. Ampire comes with a RAT simulation. Amplitude comes with a RAT simulation. There's a RAT built into every DAW or simulator. But this standalone pedal, the TSE R47 or something it's called, it's a RAT simulation. It's it's as good as a pedal. I won't even say it's close to the pedal. It is exactly the RAT when you use it rightly. So I'm using the Rockrack and the TSC rack together. Then there is the second pedal that we're going to discuss is Audiority or I don't know how you spell it. I don't know how you pronounce it, but Audiority DR Drive, which is nothing but a simulation of the Horizon Precision Drive. So I'm going to use that with PreSonus Ampire. Is Ampire standalone good? There are some good reviews out there, but again, Ampire standalone does not cut it for me. So I'm actually using a pedal on top of Ampire to basically simulate what I'm playing. And in all of this, playing that we're gonna do, I'm sticking to a Marshall kind of a sound because end of the day, that's the sound in my head, and that's the sound of classic rock. If you take the Marshall and you take the Tweed, you're covering 90% of recorded classic rock songs out there, in my opinion. So yes, so I'm trying to hit a Marshall JCM kind of a sound when I'm playing. And what else? Honorable mention though, I mean, you will hear a beep in the recorded version when we play it. It's a Peavey Revolver. It's taken over by some other companies, no more Peavey, but the original was by Peavey. It's Peavey Revolver. It's amazing. It's again just like the Rockrack. It's very, very organic. It sounds very close to an amp, in my opinion. So these are the various things that that we're gonna cover in what you're gonna hear now. And the way I have recorded the signal chain is very, very simple. My cable is going into my audio interface, and that is getting fed into the DAW, and that's pretty much it. I'm not going through the pedal board, nothing. It's just the guitar going into my sound card, as simple as that. And everything that you hear, I'm gonna just the first time you see me playing, that's the only time I'm playing. Everything else is reamped. Reamp means I'm using the same DI signal and I'm basically processing it with a different amp simulator. So you're gonna see the settings that I have used. The first time you're gonna see me play, and that's basically the Helix Native. All the other two versions or three versions that you're gonna see are nothing but the same recording process with a different amp simulator, and you will see the exact settings that I have used on the screen. So let's see how it sounds. Enough of blabbering. I hope this video was not too long. So the next part is going to be impulse responses and how to use them, how to integrate your pedal board with your DAW or amp simulator with impulse responses, etc. So it's more a signal chain and impulse response kind of video. So far, it's been fun. If you guys have really enjoyed it so far, let me know. Hit that like button and subscribe button, and do let me know if you want some video to be specifically done. I know there were some requests for some new pedals to be reviewed and other things. I've ordered them. I'm awaiting them. So for all you guys out there, hang around. I'll be reviewing those pedals for you. If there's anything else, do let me know. Thank you so much. Have fun and rock on.